The first thing we're going to do is mark, after we have stitched out our design, approximately where the center of this design is on the top and bottom of this fabric. This fabric is 36 inches wide, and we're going to use it with this book. This book I have already glued onto it fleece. So it's just a little bit of glue. In this case I used Martha Stewart glue. You can use any kind of glue. I glued it on. Don't have to be very neat about it. And by putting a mark here and here on a 36-inch piece of fabric, I'm going to be able to tell that indeed I am putting this fabric and that design pretty much centered. If I need to put extra marks, I can, but basically because this is centered on the width of this fabric, I'm able to tell. Alright, I'm going to lay the book out on this end, and I'm going to fold the fabric over, and then I'm going to fold it back. And in doing so, I'm going to grab a few pins and just pin it in place. What this is going to do is create the inside flap. At the same time, it's going to keep us from having a raw edge. Now you probably want to set this back about 1/4 inch. Do the same thing on this side, 1/4 inch. Make sure it fits nice and snug. And once I've done that, I'm going to flip the book back over to this side. It's hard to tell because it's cream fabric with cream fleece. I actually picked this fabric so you could see the stitching as opposed to, I guess, looking at the fleece in comparison to the fabric. And the same thing. You're going to bring this across and you're going to fold this back. And of course you can trim off any excess. So 36-inch piece of fabric that you've embroidered the design on the front. Now I have it inside out, and I'm pinning these pieces in place. You notice it's not precisely cut. And I will come in here and again I'll just cut off the excess. So pin this down. Try closing the book to make sure that you have a nice fit. And it appears that I have. Okay. I can see there's a little bubble there, so that is easily eliminated in the way that I've pinned it. So you want to put in a few pins. They don't have to be tight. And then what you're going to do is you're going to come in here and right against the edge of the book you're going to put pencil line all the way around so that you know where your sewing lines are. Very simple. Same thing on the other side. And I will go ahead and do this and then bring this over to my sewing machine, and I'm going to actually stitch all the way around on this line, and same thing here, all the way down to both edges. And the end of the book here has a little curve, so I'm going to curve my book cover in, give it a custom fit. See what I'm doing? I'm just pushing this in. You'll see this more when I put the sewing stitches in. I'll pick a nice bright color so you can see it. And the same thing on the other side. And the other side again. Alright. So I'm going to go over to my sewing machine and I'm going to stitch this cover. As you can see, at least I hope you can see, I have stitched. And what I didn't do was I didn't stitch here on the binding. It wouldn't matter if you did or you didn't. If you do stitch across this little piece here, I would make sure it's the same color. I've done it in a dark color so that you can see the stitches. One thing I didn't mention before was remove the book before you begin stitching. Once you have stitched the cover, then you just need to simply cut off the excess. And if you want, you can actually seam that little edge down if you prefer. Same thing on the other side. Not too fancy. It's a book cover. This is not a couture shirt. Alright. And then turn it inside out. You could clip the curves, but for the speed of this video, I'm just going to flip it right side out. And right side out again. On the other side. Here we are. Clipping the curves will give you a much smoother finish. Once you have it flipped right side out, then you can actually glue down a piece of ribbon along the center binding. This one here is 3/8 inches for the size book that I've used. One thing also I should mention is that when I was cutting out the width of my fabric and placing the design onto the book, I made sure as I was measuring and folding the flap over that I would find a place to mark where the design was actually going to be embroidered. So I marked it based on the size book I'm using. So depending on the size of your book, you want to account for the fabric going over the cover as well as on the inside being sewn. And that will be your placement for your embroidery design. And of course, when you're first assembling the book and doing the measuring, you have the fabric right sides together. And then you sew it, then you turn it and flip it outside. But here I am measuring a little piece of ribbon, and it's about twice the length of the book. You know, you could make it a little longer if you choose. Might actually be a good idea. It's a little short, but at least twice the length of the book. And you can put a little V in it. Some people fold it over in half to form that V. I've never been good at it. And another little trick is you can tip it with some glue to keep it from running. If it's a clear drying glue, whichever brand you have on hand, something that dries clear, or even a little freight check. That works wonders. Once this is dry, you will slip the book in. So I'm going to let it dry a few minutes, and then I will put the book in, and we'll come back.